This video is brought to you by Bantio TCG.
What's up guys, Cardog here, and today I'm here with another Digimon deck profile. Today we'll be going over the BT21 Medusamon deck. So this is a brand new Liberator deck that we can play from BT21, and the deck is a lot of fun. I think it's missing a few cards, but I think for the most part, I think we have a really strong engine, and the playstyle is pretty interesting. So without further ado, let's get right into the deck profile. So for the Tamers, we're running 4 of the new Digimon. The new Digimon is a pretty strong ability. So the ability is once per turn, when your opponent's security stack is removed, you can have one of your Digimon digivolve into a Digimon with Reptile or Dragonkin in your hand, and have the Digivolution cost reduced by 1. So this is a pretty strong ability just because you'll be able to constantly remove stuff from stack and then digivolve into your dudes. And yeah, it's good. It is once per turn, so you will want to time your evolutions well, but there are other ways to just cheat out your evolutions. So overall, not too hard to do, and it's a pretty strong egg. Definitely not as strong as Balmon from before, but I think they kind of learned their lesson and put a once per turn on this. So yeah, pretty good overall. Next, we are running 4 of the Medusamon. This is the new boss monster for the deck. So it's got security check +1, as well as the progress keyword, which is on evolution, which whenever you're while attacking, this Digimon is not affected by your opponent's effects. So it's all effects. As long as it's attacking, you won't be affected. So it's a pretty strong ability. Your opponent won't be able to blast evolve you and touch this thing. So it's pretty strong, but it is vulnerable at other times. So you will have to do something about it. And the attack power is quite low, so there is a chance that you might crash, even if you don't proc any effects in security. So a couple of problems going on with it, but there are ways to kind of play around it. And the second ability is when evolving and at the attack, you can delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest DP. And then on all turns, whenever a opponent's Digimon is deleted or their security stack is removed, you can play a Petrification token, which is a 3000 DP white Digimon that has the ability of not being able to suspend, and then also when it's deleted, you trash the top card of your security. So it's possessed by your opponent, so when it dies, your opponent trashes the top card of their security. So it's a pretty strong ability, and there are ways to pop it. So yeah, it's pretty good. Next, for the level 6, I'm actually running 1 of the War Greymon Ace just for ace play when you're in level 5. I was running this before, but I don't really like it that much. Might be against the matchups I had, but I think when you're playing an opponent that's pretty aggressive, I think most of the time having a level 6 is better. But I think it does have its uses sometimes. I misplayed this card a few times. I should have used it at a different time when I was going to use it. So I think this card does have a lot of potential, though. It's a really strong uncommon. So if you didn't pick up the starter deck, you can definitely run this instead. And I think this slot is kind of like a toss-up. I was running 2 of these before, but in my current build, I'm just running 1 of the Ace, because this is also searchable. It is a Dragonkin, so pretty good for that. If you're playing against opponents that you see often, it just keeps them on their toes. And if you're playing against a deck against an opponent that you don't really see often, this will also catch them off guard sometimes. So it's pretty good utility, and it is a 7 cost to hard cast, so it's not too expensive to hard cast if you need to. You won't be getting the first effect off because we're only running 1 color Tamer, but if you want to run something else, you definitely can. So this is definitely a very viable card. Next, we are running 1 Blitz Omni. If you want to run the Omnimon X from BT20, you can instead. But I'm running all of that in the deck, so I'm just going to run this. That one is a bit better because you can, if you're going for the kill, you can return one of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom deck. So if they have a blocker or something, you can get rid of it. This one, it's just a more affordable card to play and more easily accessible, but it does pretty much the same thing. you're just going to go in for the last hit. So yeah, this is a slot that you can run Omnimon X in. And then we're also running one Galmon Crimson Mode. This is just for an ace play for level 7. You can swap this out for another War Greymon from B21 if you want. So honestly, the level 6 and 7 slots are kind of flexible in these slots. I think Medusamon is kind of mandatory to play at 4 just because you want to see her as often as possible, and she's really good. But your level 6 and 7, the rest of the slots are pretty flexible, so it's honestly up to you guys. But that's the way I'm playing it. Let's move on to the level 5s. So we're running 4 of the Lamiamon. So Lamiamon is another new level 5 that we got from the BD21. So the ability for this card is it's got progress. So again, it can't be, it's not affected by your opponent's effect when it's attacking. And then, when any of your Reptile or Dragon Chin trait Digimon attacks target change, you can trash a top card opponent's security. So what happens is basically if your opponent has a blocker and they use it to block this attack, you'll be able to proc the effect of this because the security stack is removed. So you'll be able to Digivolve. And then if you attack into the security and the security stack is removed, you can also proc it. So either way, you're going to be able to Digivolve. So it's pretty strong in that aspect. But given that you have to have a Dragonkin or Reptile in your hand, some of the problems I had before was that I didn't have any of those in my hand. So that does happen sometimes. So the card's really good, given that you have the required cards in hand. So in that way, if you are worried about not having the level 6 in your hand, you can cut this out for another level 6 if you want. Honestly, there's a lot of really strong Dragonkins out there, so you can definitely play around with the different ratios. But this is what I'm running with right now, and for the most part, it's pretty consistent. And then we're also running 3 Saberdramons from BT21, so this is treated as a Dragonkin, so it's pretty good. Its ability is on play and on evolution. You can, if your opponent has 5 or less security, your opponent will put one of the hand into the bottom of the security and then trash the top 1. So you'll be able to proc the effect of your Digimon just because the security is trashed, and then you'll be able to Digivolve into your level 6s pretty easily. And the Inherit does give you plus 4k. So if you do Digivolve into this, you will be able to swing for 16k, which is pretty good. Getting a 4k buff is very, very strong. So I think Saberdramon is pretty strong in that aspect as well. So, yeah. And I forgot to mention, Lamiamon's ability, the Inherit ability is, whenever your opponent's security is removed, you can play a Reptile or Dragonkin with 5,000 DP or less from your hand without paying its cost. So you'll be able to play some searchers and whatnot, so it's pretty good for that. Next, for the other level, for level 4s, we're running 4 of the Metromon. So this is the Tamer player. So on evolution, you have one of your Tamers, you can play Owen Dreadnought from your hand without paying its cost. And then the Inherent ability is whenever your opponent's security stack is removed, you can gain 1 memory. So pretty good. And then we're also running 3 of the Cyclomon. Cyclomon is here. It's also a security bomb, so it's pretty for that. So on play and on evolution, you can delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4k or less DP. And then when it's checked in security, you can play this without paying its cost. And then the Inherit also gives plus 2k. So honestly, the line is not bad. So yeah, running 3 though, just because I am experimenting with Flamedramon from the promo. So this one, it's got the Armor Rush, and then on attack, on your turn, whenever attack is changed, you can trash the top card, or you can balance the top card of your opponent's security to their hand, and then it also has rate, so you can manually change the target for this one. So you'll be able to proc the evolution ability for your Digimon, which is pretty good as well. Downside is it is a 3-cost evolve, so it might cause some problems for some people, but we are running scrambles, and we're also running training, so you can help reduce the cost like that. But it's a pretty interesting card I'm experimenting with, and it's working pretty well. Especially if you have 2 bodies on the board, you'll be able to use this to Digivolve easily. So, yeah. Especially if you have this on the board as well, you'll be able to attack with this, bounce one, and then you trash one with this. So you'll be able to get rid of 2 security pretty easily. And yeah, Digimon is just a pretty interesting card to use in this deck. Next, we are also running 4 of the Medusamon. So Medusamon is here is a searcher. On play, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck and add 1 card with Reptile or Dragonkin, and 1 card with Liberator, and then return the rest to the bottom. So it's your basic searcher. Keep in mind, Digimon is also a Dragonkin, so you'll be able to search for it as well. So pretty good for that. And then we're also running 4 of the Agumons. So this one on play lets you grab a Dragonkin or Reptile from your trash back to your hand. So pretty strong ability for a red Agumon, because usually it's like purple cards that can grab from trash, but this one can he can fetch his girlfriend, so it's pretty good. And then the inherent ability is plus 2k, which is again pretty strong for this deck. Because while progressing, the only danger you really have is having something with bigger DP. So yep. And then we're also running 3 Solarmons. This is mainly just for matchups against decks that have cost play reduction, which, you know, there's a few out there. So I think Solarmons prove that, especially if you're like me and you're playing against players that always run decks with cost reduction, play reduction, and that really screws them over. So this is a pretty stonks card to play. This is pretty flexible. I think if you want to run Gilmon is pretty good as well, because that one, whenever you delete a Digimon, you can draw a card. So Gilmon is also a really strong option. The starter deck Gilmon, I think it's from starter deck, what is it? From starter deck 7. It's a really old one. So I think you can run that as well. So, yeah. I think Gotsumon's also a pretty good option. It's also a floodgate. Basically, this slot is a really flexible. It can run the other guy, what's the dinosaur card? Gasomon. Gasomon, I think, stops your opponent from gaining memory outside of Tamer effects. So that also floodgate also works. So this is a really flexible slot. Next, we are running 2 Owen Dreadnoughts from BT18. So this is your memory setter. But the alternate ability is whenever your opponent's security is removed, you can rest this card to pop something 4k or lower. And then, yeah, so mainly you'll be using this to pop the tokens, the petrification tokens you spawn on your opponent's board. So you'll be able to just trash it away. It's quite strong. Yeah, mainly here for that. And we're also running, of course, 3 of the new Owen from BT21. This one is the standard memory gainer if your opponent has a Digimon on the board. And at the end of your turn, you can rest this Tamer to give one of your Reptile or Dragonkin piercing. And after that one, that Digimon can attack. So you can use kind of pseudo blitz, which is really nice as well. So I think this, the whole package is really nice. I think we can just use a few more cards to round off the deck. But yeah, next those have the options. We're running 2 of the red memory boost. This one is just obviously your standard memory boost, just increasing consistency a little bit. But this is the options here are kind of flexible. I'll let you know in a bit. We're also running 3 of the trainings, and then we're running 2 scrambles. Scramble's pretty good in this deck just because you'll be able to fetch your pieces, evolve into Digimon for cheaper, go into your other thing for cheaper, and then you can trash and then do your attacks and stuff. So I think Scramble in this deck is actually a lot stronger than some other red decks. So yeah. And then we're also running 2 of the Raging Serpentine. I actually want to bump this up to 1. So my other idea was to run training at 4 and then take away one of the red memory boost to run another Serpentine, or you can just take out the red memory boost and then run the Serpentine and just have 1 memory boost. But if you have, if you've got OCD like me, you're probably gonna take out all of them and replace it with a training. It doesn't make too big of a difference, but I think the Raging Serpentine is just a really strong option. So for those of you who don't know what it does, it's When this card will be used, if your opponent has 3 or fewer security, you can reduce the cost by 4. So it's a 4 cost to cast, which is really strong. And then the main effect is to delete your opponent's highest DP Digimon and then place this card in the battle area. And then on all turns, whenever a opponent's security stack is removed, you can evolve one of your Reptile or Dragonkin Digimon into a Reptile or Dragonkin Digimon from your hand without paying its cost. So you can go up your chain really fast if you have the right cards. So the deck is actually pretty fast. You just need to have a little bit more consistency with your draws. So that's why I'm running quite a few consistency boosters. And being able to fetch your pieces is also pretty good. Especially if you are able to just pop your thing, you have it inherit. If you have the Agumon in hand, just slap down the Agumon, fetch out a piece that you need. So overall, the engine is really good. I think it just has a few cards that it needs for it to round out a little bit. Maybe like if you don't run these floodgates, maybe a better level 3 specifically for this deck a little bit later. And then for level 4s, you know, Flame Digimon is strong, but if you have a level 4 that is better for this deck, probably take that out for the other card. But overall, deck is super fun to play. Lots of things to play around with, because it does support Reptile and Dragonkin, which actually has quite a few cards in the pool that you can play around with. And yeah, I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun playtesting this deck, and yeah, it's a fun deck with a lot of potential, because I think progress is a strong keyword. But that is pretty much it for this deck profiles. If you guys want to support the channel, feel free to use the affiliate links down below. If you want to build this deck of your own and you're playing Japanese, feel free to go to Banto TCG and use the coupon code CAROTAGODES0325 for 3% off on checkout. It works for all Digimon products across the store as long as the order is above 13 USD. So it's pretty good for that. But yeah, stay tuned for more Digimon content. I apologize for slacking a bit, but work has been super busy recently, so I just haven't had too much. I've been pretty tired after work, so I just want to rest. But I do want to pump these deck profiles out, especially before the new booster comes out. So hopefully I'll be able to finish all of them before that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this deck profiles. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!